Hi, I'm Sean Reynolds.
And I'm Rachel Reynolds.
And welcome to What Was I Made For?
The podcast about doing what you love and prioritising your happiness.
While we aim to inspire, motivate and entertain you, please note that we're not licensed therapists or certified experts.
So if you're considering major life decisions like starting a llama farm or quitting your job to become a professional skydiving instructor, maybe get a second opinion.
Enjoy the show.
See, I just do what I want, do what I love. I don't want to stop, don't want to grow up. Just me being me, don't follow the crowd. Don't be a sheep, look at me now. But now it's time to make more, create more. Looking at the points cause it's time to take score. Feeling like I'm grown now that I can face more. Got one question, what was I made for?
Hi everyone, welcome back.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Let's just get straight in, Sean. Do you want to explain?
Yeah, so I'm a bit of a perfectionist, you see, and I'm not going to put anything out that isn't 100%, maybe not 100%, but at least 50% good
Yeah,
quality.
our first video needs to be.
The first video has to be good, so I am sorry. Blame me for being for being too picky with how I want it to look. There is video footage from this episode, but one of the cameras was out of focus and it really annoys me. So, we will be posting clips from this episode on social media, but the full episode will still not be out.
Audio only.
Audio only.
Boo.
I can only apologise, please.
It is a podcast.
Everybody, forgive me. Let's just say the video episodes will be ready when they're ready, and when they drop, you'll be over the moon. Over the moon.
It's gonna make your life.
Yeah. Even though most people probably listen audibly anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, our guest was James Hume, the lovely James Hume, West End star.
Yeah, played roles like Phantom, Javert, among many others, but those are the big ones.
Very, very inspiring, very good listen for anybody who wants to go into the performing world.
Loves eggs.
Loves eggs. Well, actually, he doesn't. That's the whole point.
He doesn't now.
Very, very funny story about eggs. I hope you enjoy it. We absolutely loved chatting with James. It was great. Enjoy the episode. Bye.
Am I right to slurp throughout this?
Oh,
As it were?
slurp away, man.
Absolutely.
Slurp away.
Slurp.
Yeah, so James,
Are we
welcome to
Lovely.
What Was I Made For? And
Were we meant to say that together?
welcome to What Was I Made For?
We didn't do that.
Right.
That was very good.
Didn't. It was good, yeah.
Very good.
So rehearsed. Could have harmonised it. First of all, you've got your drink of choice. I hope it is.
I have,
to
yes.
stand.
It's very nice. Thank you very much.
Excellent,
And much
yeah.
needed on a Friday morning.
What did you think of our email? Is it a bit overkill?
No, it was lovely. It was very, very clear, very precise. I knew exactly what I was getting myself in for.
I was
Amazing.
expecting perhaps a gin, perhaps something else, but
Do you know, I did
time
think
of
about
day.
it. I did think, could I ask for a little glass of wine? But no, I thought not. I thought not at 11 o'clock on a Friday morning.
Maybe we'll do
Maybe we could do an episode
late
2.
night one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd go with a regular coffee.
Absolutely.
Just to get me going.
Hits the spot. Perfect. So we usually start by asking our guests what you wanted to be when you were growing up, when you were little, James.
Well, I'm going to be very boring and say I didn't actually know at all. I had no, looking back, I can sort of see it now. I had no idea. I was interested in a lot of things. I was very sporty, which is quite surprising when people meet me now. But I was
Okay.
very sporty back in the
What
day.
kind of sports?
Very football heavy, very tennis heavy. And I suppose I could have potentially gone down one of those routes. Maybe.
Mm.
But then people meet me now and they sort of go, crazy, ridiculous. But
there's an element of theatre to the big game, though, isn't
here
there?
we go.
Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. Absolutely.
There is.
And I think the sort of being part of a team, being part of a group of people,
Yeah.
all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I know I didn't really have a very clear thing until I was about 15.
Okay.
And that's when I started doing the theatre stuff.
And how did that start? Like amateur stuff?
Completely by accident.
Okay.
So I was at school with Sean, and I was going through a period where I was not that well behaved, let's say.
That's
I know,
surpri-
very surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
a tyrant in
I
this.
know, yeah.
Do you remember this?
I don't actually.
No, I don't think we were in the same class.
No,
though, were
quite
we?
a lot of, but there were also quite a lot of naughty boys.
Yes. No, yes,
you and I were
exactly.
just one of them, one and two of them.
Yeah, but looking back, I was quite bad at one point. Like and I don't really know why.
Did
but
you enjoy school?
It was something to do.
Okay.
I don't know if I wasn't very academic, which I think frustrated me.
Okay. Yeah.
And I didn't have an outlet. yes, I had the sports stuff, but that was sort of on the weekends. And I think I had a lot of energy and a lot of humour that I wanted to get out. I'd always liked drama, but again, I didn't take it seriously, really. I just thought it was an opportunity to muck around.
Which back then it kind of was.
It was, wasn't it? And then I was just about to do work experience. And my drama teacher at the time because he became our head of year.
Correct, yeah.
For a while. And I wasn't doing well. I wasn't behaving very well. And he had the idea to put me in a show.
Okay.
And it was all down to him, really. And I didn't want to do it. I was very against it. I was thought street cred wise, not good.
He signed you up.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What was the show?
Les Mis.
No way.
Funny.
Yeah. School's edition.
See, I knew that, but
yeah. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it at all. And then he was really insistent. He was like, no, we need boys because, as you know, every theatre group needs boys all the time.
Yeah.
And I think you should do it. And he took me along. He literally walked me to the music block where I had to sing for the head of music, Mr. Isaac. Never sung before in my life, ever. And looking back, I was terrible. Terrible.
Really?
Flat, shaky, nervous. I just like, what are you doing? What are you doing to me? And then, so I thought, well, I can't sing, so they won't give it to me. Walked off. And then the next day he came up to me and he was like, yeah, we've cast you. You're playing this role. And it was one of the principal roles. So I was like, okay, fine. And then I thought about it. I just thought it would be a laugh. It would just be a laugh. And it gave me something to do.
Yep.
And from the first rehearsal onwards then, it was like completely life-changing.
Light bulb
completely
moment.
life-changing. I just started my work experience. I don't think we did every day, did we?
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. We spoke about it in my episode. We did. I was at a mechanics.
Mechanics. I listened.
Oh, did you?
I've done my research.
Yeah.
I don't know if I did every day because we started rehearsals as I started work experience.
Right. Okay.
And I was at the Alva Bank.
Were you?
Yeah.
Like hospitality, like
in the kitchen washing up.
Oh, okay.
Basically.
Wow.
Yeah, because my first day, I'm just going to go off on a slight tangent here.
Absolutely.
My first day of work experience, I was given the task to crack 37 eggs.
That was your whole shift.
That was my shift. The problem is, he gave me 40, and I didn't count them.
It was a trick.
I don't know, but I cracked 40, not 37. And he went off on it.
What?
He was livid
Stop.
because I was cracking them into this blancmange. I don't know what he was making. It tasted horrible. And I just remember him saying,
those extra 3 eggs.
I just remember saying to him, do 37. And he just gave me eggs. Just gave me loads of eggs. So I just assumed there was 37 eggs there.
Yeah.
So I did all of them. And he came around the corner, his face went red. And he was like, what have you done? That's 40 eggs, not 37.
Well, work experience,
and
kid.
he picked up this huge bowl of egg and just threw it away. I don't know where I'm going with this, but that was my first day. And,
So
and he
you
was
knew
horrible
from
to me
that
after
point.
that. From that point on, he was like, you're just washing up.
The guy just threw away 40
eggs.
He sounds horrible.
He was vile. But then the plot thickens. He then got sacked about 4 days later and someone else took over.
What's going on? This is one of my most enjoyable tangents.
I know.
Such a good one.
He then got sacked. So
Okay.
so I was washing up at the Alpha Bank.
And sorry, this was at the same time that you're rehearsing Les Mis?
So we just started.
Okay.
And so I was doing the shift during the day. I'd finish at something like 3 and then I'd go to school to rehearse in the afternoon because it was a after school thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, from the first or second rehearsal, I was just in love with it. Absolutely in love with it. I was terrible. Looking back, I was terrible. But it didn't matter. And actually what I did like, and I think this is partly why a lot of people go into it, it gave me some attention.
Yeah.
And it gave me I felt like I had a bit of not status, because I don't like that word, but do you know what I mean? It just, I felt like I was suddenly noticed.
Yeah.
And on the map a bit.
Yeah.
And it became the thing that I was known for quite quickly.
Yes, it did.
Suddenly people would go, that's James, he does theatre or whatever, or he's going to go and sing or whatever. Quite quickly.
Not just that's James, he's that naughty kid
who cracked 48 to 37. Yeah.
I love
the guy that can't count eggs.
But it gave me a brand.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think me and you are quite similar in that sense, that as soon as I started playing in bands, I then felt that same thing that, wow, people are looking at me and noticing what I'm doing. Whereas in class, I would constantly be trying to get the teacher's attention or the other my peers' attention through doing something stupid in class.
Yes.
I was always looking for attention from wherever that could come. And I think that's where music slotted into my life.
And it's, I think as well, it's that need for attention is so sort of looked down upon. But it's important. It is important.
Yeah.
And it's, people go, oh, you just want attention. It's like, well, yeah, we do as human beings. And it's not, it's what you do with it and how you channel that. It's not a negative thing, wanting attention. It's, if it's misplaced, then yes, or if it becomes across arrogant, or the big thing at the moment for me is entitlement, do you know what I mean? All that sort of thing. But I think to want to be seen and heard is really important.
Yeah.
And in a school of that size, where, I think we were very lucky with our school.
Well, Rach couldn't believe that. I think we had like 2,500
Yeah, that's
kids.
insane.
Yeah.
That's so massive.
And you at your school, what was it, like 500?
Yeah, I don't think we were even 1,000.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Bay House was
to me.
But it was easy
it's
to get
massive.
lost, I think. And that's not a criticism to the school, because actually I think when we were there, it was amazing. And it was very high achieving and it had great facilities and things like that. I don't know if it still is, but it was when we were there.
Yeah.
That we were very lucky to be there. But I just remember thinking, I now feel a part of it. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like I've got. Someone said something to me the other day, and it's true. When you go into your industry that you love, you find your people.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Do you know what I mean? And I think
love
that's
that.
what happened is when I started rehearsing that show, and because it was all year groups as well, which didn't matter, because suddenly then you're not year groups anymore. You're just a group of people. It was like, I'm around people I have a laugh
Like a tribe.
with. Yeah. And I've just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Caught the bug, as people say.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then from that point onwards, it was like, yeah.
I was going to say, because I know this is going to really help some of the boys at the school. Do you remember, how you said to your teacher, like, what are you doing to me? Because he told you to do it.
Yeah.
Do you remember as a boy feeling like there's going to be a little bit of backlash here for going and doing a musical? Because I feel like I've got teenage boys who some have now decided to not do it anymore.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely fine. But for some of them that have left in the past, I felt like they've given up something they love because other people have told them it's
Outside
not cool.
pressures, yeah.
Yeah. Like, do you remember that?
Yes. Yes, I do. But I think I was so intoxicated by it that I pushed through that. And actually what changed, I remember we had to do like a little snippet one day in assembly. And for me was
I think I remember that.
That was too much. I was like, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah, I understand that.
Because it was my own year group.
Yeah.
And I think what sort of the fantasy of it at the beginning was the fact there was no one there really that I knew in terms of sort of our group. Do you know what I mean? So I could sort of break away from that. So when they said, we're doing assembly, I really freaked out, because then you start to go, well, I'm going to get this. And there was an instant that day, I think we did do it. I did do it in the end, but there was an instant where we were rehearsing it. We had to come in early and we rehearsed it. And I'm not going to say who it was, but it was someone in our year. And I'll never forget this. And this is not necessarily to put people off, but there was someone in our year who was in as well. And I remember him looking at me and laughing. And it was just a split second moment where he looked at me, I looked at him, and I just suddenly went, oh God. And he started laughing in a sort of way of like, you doing? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, I just had a moment of, but no, I don't care. I don't care. And there's a positive end to this story. I pushed through, I did it, and people started to really respect it, actually. And that's what surprised me. And I'll cut forward a little bit, but I remember when we were teching the show and we were about to do it, I don't know if they did it, but they brought some classes in to watch. Yeah. Like the English classes and the drama classes, they had a choice. Either they could do their lesson or come and watch the rehearsal. And
who's choosing the lesson?
I know, right? Yeah, exactly.
That's probably why a lot of classes came to see it.
Yeah, but I remember vividly my English class coming in whilst I was doing my solo. And everyone was so supportive in the end, including that group as well. And I never, from that point onwards, I never got any grief at all, because people actually thought, actually, he can do this. Actually,
it's almost like you got pushed through that.
This is going to be so we've only had one guest yesterday, Jack on yesterday. We've had me and you doing our episodes, and there is always a moment. There is always a moment, and I think this will happen with most people that have been successful in the arts. There's a moment that tests you, and if you can push through that test,
yeah,
come out the other side, I think you've overcome the worst of it, and you learned the skill of just pushing through.
Because looking back now, it said so much more about them, their response to it, than it did about me. Do you know what I mean? And I actually think a lot of it was intimidation.
Yeah,
I think they suddenly thought, oh, there's a guy, and I think sometimes as well, if you do get any sort of comments, looks, griefs from other people, I think there's an element of them wishing they could do that.
I completely agree
as well.
But how do you tell a young person? It's so easy now, the other side of it. And I had it recently where we filmed a TikTok with one group of dancers and it went around their school and they got a lot of backlash for it, one particular person. So I ended up taking that down, which
at their request,
which went totally against, because I'm agreeing with you, James, that actually don't listen to them. They're just jealous that they don't have a group that are having a laugh once a week.
They're jealous of the freedom.
But how how do you tell a young person that now?
Well, and also it's a lot harder now.
Yeah,
because we were, I was fortunate. Would it have been different if they had if he had a mobile phone in his hand?
Being blasted all over social media.
Yeah, I mean, but again, I didn't care. I had a moment of going, oh, should I be doing this? And then I just went, no, this is something that I just love doing. And again, because I was in a show or a group or whatever, I had 40 people behind me who I knew would have my back. And still to this day, I think one of the reasons I do it is because of the company. Is feeling like you're part of something. And I've noticed what I'm like when I'm in work compared to what I'm like when I'm out of work is quite different because of that. I think it's about being a part of something. And school was, it just everything then, and I know this is quite cliche, but everything then sort of clicked into place. Once I got into that show, did the show, met some amazing people who I'm still in touch with. Everything else in my life seemed to fall into place. Academically, personally, emotionally, everything else. It all just started to make sense. Yeah. I started to make sense as well as a person. And it's again, it sounds like a film and it sounds like cliche, but it was life-changing.
Do you think the teacher that put you through to being in the show, was it to redirect your energy?
Yes. Because I think he was, I'm still in touch with him now and I've made a point of that. I've really made a point of that. He's come to see every show I've done.
Oh. I was going to ask.
Every time I'm at home, I go and see him because I think it's really important. And
so you still owe a lot to
everything.
him?
In my opinion, everything. My life started from that point onwards. I don't really remember anything before that, weirdly. I honestly don't.
How does he feel about that? Like, as a teacher myself.
Quickly, what character was it that you played in?
Marius.
Okay.
Who was the young heartthrob. Those days are gone. But yes. I know. Yeah. It was.
But how does he feel? Like when you go and see him?
When he saw you on the stage in the actual Les Mis.
It was exactly 10 years.
Wow.
After it. I need to write a book about it or something, don't I? But exactly 10 years.
It's a real full circle.
He came to see me in the show in the West End. Yeah. It was amazing. It was an amazing thing to do for him as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's a real sort of mentor kind of.
Yeah, and he still is.
Bond.
I still talk to him about, if I get a job come through or whatever. He comes and sees everything.
Wow.
Everything. He's not missed a show of mine, which I think is incredible, really. Yeah, and I think
it's a real special relationship.
Yes, and also, I don't know how personal we're getting on this, but I'll keep talking and just tell me to shut up.
Go for it.
But it was around the time that my parents split as well. And he, the drama teacher, became a sort of second father, I would say, as well.
Wow.
And that was really important. And that's, I think, another powerful thing about this job is, well, any job, but I think because of the arts, emotion is involved. So much of it has to be. He filled a little bit of a void as well at the time that I needed one. And I think that's why my behavior was, I remember, again, one of my English teachers saying to my mother, actually, on a parents' evening, oh, James is, going through some stuff. What's going on? And we sort of explained what was happening. And the teacher just went, fine, don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think when stuff's going on, these people come into your life at the right time, I think.
Absolutely.
And yes, again, I work with a lot of actors now who say theatre saved them.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely in that camp. It definitely did. Because I just go, I don't know what I would have been. Probably at the Alva Bank messing up loads of dishes. I'd still be there. But you don't know. My life completely changed, and my life started for me sort of 15 years onwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, West End star or James the Egg Boy.
Exactly.
So do you reckon from that point then that light bulb moment of, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm good at, this is what I love, was it from that point that you were kind of like, cool, this is my path, like this?
And was it unwavering? Was it that is you set, you are just, that's what your goal is?
Looking back, yes, it probably was, but I did certainly feel the social pressure of what we all go through when we're deciding of a career in the arts. I definitely did have I remember I'll jump ahead a little bit, but I remember when I was about 18, 19, when I was sort of getting ready to go to drama school or university or whatever, and I was doing lots of amateur theatre, and there was just that voice in me going, go for it, just do it, try, go for it. But I remember I had a job interview in Whiteley for something like property insurance or something like that. Very normal job, let's say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like that was my crossroads moment where I could have gone safe.
And you'd probably still be there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because also, because I was doing so much amateur theatre, I was doing relatively well in the amateur circuit as well, because I was a young 18-year-old man. So I was a bit in demand because they need people like that.
Yeah.
That I was getting nice roles. I was doing 4 shows, at the time. I was literally doing stuff at the King's, New Theatre Royal, Burnham Hall. I was everywhere because I sort of thought, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to throw myself into it. And I love it, of course. That I thought, well, maybe I can just do this for the rest of my life, which is absolutely fine, by the way. But I don't know, I just had that. It's annoying, really. I speak to students all the time that I sometimes long for an easier life, where I go, I wish I didn't have this drive and this annoying ambition, because you're never settled. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you get to a point where even some of the work I've done now, which on paper people go, wow, that's amazing. I'm still like, yeah, but come on, what's next?
There's more.
You know what I mean?
There's more.
And if I asked my 15-year-old self, by the time you're 35, you would have done 2 West End shows and you've done this, amazing. But right now I'm going, yeah, but come on, what's next? And it's funny that,
it's because it's beyond it's almost beyond your control. It's the way you are made.
It's just
core.
Pure drive.
And this is what I'm trying to explain to other young creatives who are at that exact crossroads going, I've got this thing in me that I feel like I need to fulfill, which is that love for the arts and creating stuff and performing and all of that stuff. Or I go down this path where I can climb a financial ladder, be secure for life, lots of quotations in case this video corrupts as well.
Yes, secure, whatever that means these days. Yeah.
Whatever security actually means to you. Yeah. And that's where I'm like, I don't think some of them understand that thing that you don't understand that needs to be fed in your soul will never ever go away.
Won't.
So that other path will never fully fulfill you. You can have all the security you want.
You can have a great big bank balance, but there will always be that thing niggling at you that you never tried.
No, and I think, everyone's different, but I think this is where midlife crises come from.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think this is where people, have episodes as well, because I think it's just what we were saying about, it's just that inner voice just won't, if you're really driven about something, it just won't shut up, But I do understand that life happens as well.
Yep.
And things happen
beyond your control.
Yeah, but this is why I say I don't think there's no such thing as security now. No. I don't think there is.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, we've all learned that from COVID, haven't we?
That I just think, it's that standard thing of you get one life. Yes, you've got to be realistic. Of course you have. And, it might mean that you pursue other routes within the same thing and you keep working at it. But I think I do understand sort of younger performers who the pressure of being secure and it is tough out there and it's a tough job and there is, it is one of the toughest industries to go into, absolutely. But it is, I think, the most fulfilling as well.
Yeah, I agree.
We both work. You both work in it as well.
Yeah.
And it's the best job in the world. It is the best job in the world.
Yeah.
The opportunities it can give you, and it's not just being on stage. It's all the other stuff.
Exactly.
It's teaching, it's producing, it's whatever it is.
It comes with a vast amount of opportunity or scope to make a difference in people's lives.
And you have to put your heart into it. You have to, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's literally, it's the most sort of truest thing ever. And storytelling and things like that is such a human thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to even teaching and things like that, to inspire others.
Absolutely.
It's just,
And you know what I find really interesting is all of the people who have taken that other path of, for lack of a better term, normal jobs. All of those people rely on the arts as their escape. So
look at COVID.
Whether that's watching Netflix or watching TV or listening to music or listening to podcasts, all of those things are made by creatives. So without them...
That is what was wild about the pandemic, is that what everybody used to get themselves through the pandemic, because we were locked in our homes, was the arts. Whether it was Netflix, whether it was music, whether it was podcasts, whatever it was, we all relied upon the arts. However, the government's first industry to get thrown down the drain was the arts. And there was do you remember the poster that went round? There was a picture of a ballerina, I think, and it was
Fatima.
like, maybe Fatima should retrain as a...
Cyber.
Yeah. That is insane to me.
The whole not viable thing.
Yet the arts mentally got everybody through the pandemic without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it continues to, though. But that, look at me, 15-year-old. Like, emotionally, I needed direction and I needed an outlet.
Yeah.
And that's what it gave me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, as I say, like when I say, it's just my opinion, but I think when people have, whether you call it midlife crisis or a moment of what have I done with my life, I think it's potentially because there was something when they were younger that they, whether it be art or doesn't even have to be arts, it can be anything that they maybe have suppressed or not given an outlet to that needs exploring. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And is there always time to explore it, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. And it doesn't have to be professionally. You can do amateur theatre. I think should be given so much more respect than it is. It's massive in this country, and it's so important. It's not about just doing show after show after show. It's about being part of something. It's about having an outlet. It's about improving your skills in communication and things like that. And you must find as a teacher, it's not just about the dancing.
No,
it's about the confidence.
More.
It's about them communicating. It's about job interview skills, all those sorts of things that it's helpful for.
And saying it's never too late, I'd say the adult classes we teach, we get the most feedback from them about how it's 60 minutes of pure escape.
Exactly.
From the rest of their life.
And people need that.
So you are a fairly modest man, I would say.
Yeah.
I know whenever I mention the sort of roles you've played and all of these things, you're not really one to be like, I am fabulous, I'm fantastic.
No, but who is?
I know,
no.
But everyone else looking at you would be like they are dream roles, right? So the next part of the podcast is basically saying, what do you do now?
What do I do now?
Yes.
Well, I'm a jobbing actor. That's what I like to say.
Exactly. And I knew you'd be that.
Yeah. / teacher, / director, / producer, / everything else. Because what I've learned is you can't just do one thing. You have to. And there's one of my favorite sayings, which a lot of my friends will know, is make it happen. If you want to do something, just make it happen. And I think with acting, so much of the time you're sat around waiting for the phone to ring or waiting for the audition or whatever it is. The most successful things I've done is stuff that I've made happen myself by sending an email, a letter, recording something, just getting something going, putting on a show.
So you emailed who? Casting directors or?
Yeah, you take a lot of risks. I had to take a lot of risks, particularly early on, again, because it's such a competitive industry. And again, this is partly luck, the right opportunities coming at the right time, taking the risks. I do believe risk taking is a massive part of it because, well, I'll say now, if you want to make money, don't go into theatre, really. Do you know what I mean? In terms of early on, because like any job, and I say this as well, you do have to work from the bottom up. You just do, like any job. And that's tough in theatre because theatre to Joe Public is all about what you've done. Do you know what I mean? And the prestige of the job. So when I first started, I was doing shows above pubs for no money. and, fringe shows and for barely livable money. But I was slowly building my CV out. I was slowly putting things, I was meeting people, which is a massive thing of this job as well. And just I knew that it was going to take time. And I think that's another thing that this world doesn't allow and this job doesn't allow is you need to dedicate a lot of time to this. It's not, yes, things happen. People might go onto Instagram, put a video on, you're a star overnight. Yeah. Of course, that does happen. Yes, something I say to students a lot, you might walk out of drama school into a West End show. Then what? Do you know what I mean? And it's if you want a career, you're talking 20, 30, 40 years of this. One job doesn't define a career. It can do, but it shouldn't, I don't think. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going off tangents again. But
no, it's good.
For me, it's all about just slowly making it happen for yourself. And even if it means, you're having to, as I did, work in a bar to pay the rent, and then going straight to do a gig for no money, and then going back to the bar, and just doing stuff like that. Because that for me is part of the fun. Yeah. The hustle. Yeah. And I sometimes, when I'm in a show, it's weird. I sometimes long to be out of work because I miss that. Right, let's find it. Let's get it.
Fire,
yeah, exactly. And when you're in a lot, I've done shows where I've been in it 1-2 years. Amazing. Won't change it for the world. Lovely. Secure, if there is such a thing. Very nice. Great show. Great parts. Lovely. But there is a little part of you like, yeah, but what else is out there? What else can I do?
You feel a bit almost trapped in.
Yeah, yeah. And what variety is there to and what people to meet and all that sort of thing. Yeah, so I've always tried to make things happen. Sometimes to a detriment where I've burnt myself out too much, which I'll go on to later. But I think you can't just sit and wait. And I think actually the most successful people in this job have actually gone and done their own stuff first. Right. A lot of comedians do it. Do you know what I mean?
As in written something for themselves.
A lot of actors do it now where they take something up to Edinburgh Festival and it suddenly becomes, there's so many great shows on at the moment which have come from literally, guys who met at drama school who were sat around a table.
Yeah, what's that one? That massive one at the moment, West End show.
Operation Mincemeat.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the best things on at the moment. Yeah. And they just all met.
Just self-written.
They're like the Sleeping Trees from uni.
Literally.
Wow. Comedy trio from uni.
Yeah, I saw one last night called Police Cops, the musical, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Again, group of mates who I think went for East 15 or something like that. And they wrote the show and now it's on in London, and it's...
So the DIY approach is actually a big deal.
Absolutely. Wow. But it takes time.
Yeah, sure.
And I think we live in such a world of instant Amazon Prime. Do you know what I mean? Instagram, get it here, get it there.
Yeah.
That I think, I started when I was 15. I'm 35 now. That's 20 years, and I'm relatively successful. But what I say to people now is that what I take success as is that I'm still doing it.
In my industry as well, I think we spoke about this on my episode where people assume if you're in the music industry, you're working with top 40 artists when actually there's just so many people doing music that it's just not, it's not like that. But I do attribute myself as being successful because I'm still just doing that.
Still doing it.
It's just that, and that's how I make my living through music, however that looks. And I do think that is something to be commended through anyone who can carve out a career in the arts. If you're doing it and you're sustaining a life with the arts, you are successful.
I completely agree. But no, I think just doing it, just keeping your hand in and just staying around, and reputation is everything. Being reliable, being a nice person is massive.
How funny that, I know you're only our second guest.
Is it only because we're going to get people on that we like though? That are nice people. True, we're not going to get a dick on here, are we?
But true, but see the pattern here. It speaks volumes that actually just being nice and enjoyable to be around does go a long way.
And not taking yourself too seriously.
Oh, totally, because
this is what I think I said earlier about misplaced attention. It's certainly my line of work is all about me, really. I am the product that I'm selling. So there has to be a level, of selling yourself, as it were. But that can be completely misplaced sometimes of, aren't I fabulous? Yeah. Look at me. Aren't I brilliant? Please tell me how much you love me. That ain't going to wash. It just ain't, because there's millions of people who are great. It's for me, it's about being humble It's not taking yourself too seriously. Do the work, absolutely, and work hard. But know that, and this is probably the biggest thing I'll say about this job, it's unfair. Get over it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It just is unfair.
Great.
There's, I have so many actor friends, me included as well, where we lose out on jobs and we get so frustrated and upset because it just doesn't make sense or, whatever. It's just what the job is. And if you don't like it, don't do
dust yourself off and
literally
get back out there.
It's just what it is. It's always been like that as well. It's not a new thing.
Definitely a skill that grows with age though, right? So
absolutely.
It probably hurts more when you're young. If you're fresh out of college or fresh out of uni, it's going to sting.
And it's harder now, again, because of social media. Like I've recently worked with some younger performers and the pressure they put themselves under, which looking back, maybe I did that when I was early 20s. I don't know.
But I don't think we felt the pressure as much when we were younger. Yeah, we did have social media. We had MySpace, Facebook, but it wasn't the same.
No.
Now it's very instantaneous. And if anyone achieves anything, it's straight on social media so that everyone can see
and everyone's comparing.
Exactly.
But I think the difference is when I was sort of starting out after drama school, I knew it would be a slow burn. And I accepted that. I would have to do some low paid stuff first. I'd have to do some shows that maybe I don't put on my CV, which I've done. And I will probably do that again as well, because it doesn't change necessarily. But I knew that if I'm going to go into this, I can't just give it a year. I've got to give it at least 10 years.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, one of the things people maybe struggle with. Because again, we live in a world of like, we haven't made it yet. And I've had to talk to a lot of sort of younger performers about that. And, because they get family pressure or they get, of like, well, you're not in the West End yet. Do you know what I mean? And it's, you've just got to learn, like it's one of the things I say the most to friends and students is it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is.
And
it's not linear either.
Yeah.
It's not just like I do the Fringe and then I do off West End and then you do West
You're not always leveling
all
up.
over the place.
Yeah.
I did Les Mis for 2 years and then I went to Edinburgh Festival.
Yeah.
For a very different experience. And that's just what it is. But that's what, again, I think the love of it is the variety.
Yeah, of course.
So going straight off of that, lovely little segue there. You've played Javert on the West End. You've played Phantom, 2 absolutely massive roles. But who would you say was your favourite role to play? Because I'd be interested to know if it was even one of the big ones.
What I will say is I was an understudy.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so because there might be people listening and going, well, he actually understudied me when I played him. So if you're listening in, I love you. So Phantom for me was the biggest one because I honestly thought I'd never get the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because it was just, again, when I was starting out, I was sort of put into a box, which happens a lot, of what my performance style was, the sort of person that was. I did a lot of comedy, but I'd always felt that Phantom would be my thing to aim for. And because it is arguably one of the biggest male,
I'd say the most prestigious role on the West End.
I think that or Jean Valjean is, those two I think people aim for.
Absolutely.
I think I would be right in saying that. It might be different now, but certainly our generation, those were the two that you wanted to do. Obviously, it's all a taste and opinion. But
maybe Alexander Hamilton for the
probably now, or Darren
Hanson
Hanson or whatever. Yeah. But those two, I think, are sort of timeless, and it's the thing I get asked about the most is Phantom. No, it was a role. From when I started out, I was like, that's what I'm aiming for. That's what I'm gunning for.
I mean, it suits you. It really does.
Thanks. I didn't know how I was going to do it though.
Yeah.
I'm not very spiritual, but I've had moments in my career where I've just felt something was going to happen.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. I just felt at some point, and I used to have, again, this might be a bit deep, but I used to have just visions come to me of me playing that role. Don't know why. I would just have a moment of just
daydreaming.
And just seeing it.
Are you a big manifester?
Well, I think I am, but I don't know how.
But not like intentionally.
I don't know how, but I think I am.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot to be said for just drive. I was just so driven to achieve that.
And maybe those daydreams just pushed up your determination. And
yes. And because I did Javert beforehand, I covered Javert, but I was very fortunate I played that a lot because of various injuries to other people and the way the show was, I got to play it for a long time, which as an understudy is rare, but I got a month on at one point for the whole time, which was incredible. Wow. So I got to see what it's like to be a principal and have that responsibility. And and I think once Javert happened, that's when I knew that Phantom was more tangible.
Was round the corner.
Yeah. I just felt like it was more accessible.
How did that happen then? Was it like an audition, or was it kind of like through Les Mis? Like
and I'll say something about auditioning actually as well, because I think it's good for people to know. It took me 6 goes at Les Mis before I got it.
6?
Wow.
Which is quite common of people that do it. It's a show that comes around every year. I was auditioning for it every year after I left college. I left college at 22. I got the show at 27. So 5 years, actually.
After each one, was it like they recommend they give you notes and they say, try this for next time?
Not always. I think a lot of it was age, to be honest, and experience for me. I think they'd noticed something in me and they wanted to see how I got on. And I think they wanted to see if I was still doing it as well. Because again, not a lot of people, some people do give it a couple of years and go, actually, it's not for me. So I would go in every year, get down to a finalish stages, not get it for various reasons, age or someone else or whatever it is, which again, you get used to. And then when I was 27, I'd got to a point where I'd auditioned for the show so much that I didn't care anymore. I was so done with it.
Yeah.
I was so annoyed about it all, because you go in every year and you see that you get seen by the same people. I love them all. They're all friends now. And you do the same material and you wait for the phone call to be like, not this year. And you go, okay, get on with my life and do some other stuff. That this one came round and I think I was working a day job, got the audition through, and I generally thought about not going in because I was just like, what's the point? But weirdly, I think that gave me a different energy.
And that was the one.
Yeah.
Because I walked in, and this is not to say that you should audition and not care, but I think I got to a point where I knew myself a bit more. I knew that they knew me.
Yeah.
I knew that they knew what I was going to sound like. Mm-hmm. So it sort of took the pressure off. In a way. And I remember walking in, thinking to myself, this will be the last time that I ever audition for this show, because clearly I'm not getting it. So whatever. And I just remember I've never sung, until this day, even having played the part, I've never sung that part so well than that audition.
That's so interesting.
I never say this, but I nailed it.
And because you weren't putting pressure on yourself.
No pressure at all.
Yeah. How did you find out you got that role?
About 2 days later, they called me and they said,
do you remember that?
But were you, the day after that audition, were you just in the headspace of, well, I haven't got it again?
Yeah. I was working at one of the theatres as a manager. I was just duty managing a theatre, and I literally went on my lunch break, went in, did my thing, walked out. And I remember a girl who I think I knew was waiting to go in after me. And I just remember saying to me, like, that was amazing. You sounded amazing. Wow. I was like, was I? Okay. Because I just did it. I just was like, okay, thanks. And then about 2 days later, I got the call saying I'd got offered it. And it was the reason I tell that story is because that was years of rejection and no, you're not ready. Time. You need to do this. And that happens. So that job really changed everything, because then that was my first big commercial show then. After that, I knew then that Phantom was something that I could realistically put my hat in the ring. I went up for it. I was at the Edinburgh Festival, and they were casting the tour, the Phantom tour. This was pre-COVID. I auditioned for the Phantom cover and didn't get it. Post-lockdown, I'm very fortunate I get asked to join the London company of it, the reopening of it. Mm-hmm. Very fortunate, because it was who knew what was going to happen with theatre. So I was just like, amazing, go, And it was then that they suggested that I was seen for a Phantom cover that time. So they said it. It came from them, and I just wanted to do it. Did my first year thinking I wouldn't get on. I did get on, played the role. Second year, played it even more. And I remember that first Phantom show, putting the makeup on, and all Phantoms out there who are listening, you'll know this feeling when you're putting the mask on. Like it's one of the most amazing feelings.
I can't even
because
imagine.
It's just like the pressure is insane. The adrenaline, I've never felt anything like it. Javert was tough, but this is like another level. Nothing against that show.
What?
But I think it was one of those jobs that when I finished it, I thought, well, if I never do anything again, I've done that.
That's what I was going to ask.
I've got my mask at home. Do you know what I mean? I've got it.
Have you actually?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know if they know that, but yeah. But yeah,
do you know?
I've got my mask at home. And it's in a glass case and all that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? You do it properly, do you know what I mean? Because I just go, well, I never thought it would be possible. Yeah. And I hope at some point I'll get another shot at it,
What do you believe you were made for?
Oh, I should have planned this, considering what the title of the podcast is.
It's interesting if you don't plan it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I suppose so. Well, I suppose what I should say is to be an actor, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say, what was I made for? I think it was to make people laugh without sounding too cliche and encourage. I'm very encouraging of others, sometimes to a detriment. Because I would rather, and I think friends of mine will agree with this, I would rather see my friend succeed than myself. And I don't mean to sound like I'm Jesus over here, like, do you know what I mean? But I honestly would. I get more kick out of my students getting jobs than, and I'm sure you do, than I do. 1,000%. I thrive off in supporting, encouraging others to do this. A friend of mine said to me the other day, which I thought was a lovely thing to say, which was, when we're at an event or a opening night or a thing like that, he feels very safe if I'm in the room.
Oh, that
is lovely.
And people feel, whether he meant it or not, I don't know, but he said something like, people feel safe if I'm in the room, and they feel that they've got someone there that they can have a laugh with, and they've got someone in their corner. And I think the last few years, because I've had quite a turbulent few years, let's say, personally, with this job and other things, that I sort of had a bit of a moment where I sort of changed my mindset a little bit of, life's hard, it can be very challenging with this job, that I'm just going to sort of make a point of making sure others are okay and encouraging others. And in turn, that will make me feel better. And it does. And it's taken this slight pressure off my own career and job and things like that by just giving more time to others. As I'm saying this, it sounds really sort of Live Aid and a bit sort of like that. Do you know what I mean? But I do honestly believe it. I do. I think that's probably what I was made for, and having a laugh as well.
Yeah. That's a great answer.
Is that too cliche, or is that
no? That's actually not what I thought you were going to say, actually.
Okay.
So yeah.
A couple of years ago, it probably wouldn't have been.
Really?
But I think there's been so much happen on and off stage recently for me that it's really made me realize how things can change so quickly in your personal life and professional life.
Yeah, nothing's guaranteed.
Dear God, no.
You've given so much advice through all of this. So I feel like this is probably a silly question, but if there's a kid listening right now who is like...
Well, say that young James Hume is listening right now.
What is the one thing that you would say, like one piece of advice to that kid listening?
I'm going to say 3 things.
Okay. I had 3 as well. You told me off
Classic performers.
Do the work. Learn about this job. Learn about the history of it. Don't just listen to stuff you like. This is all one thing, by the way. It's do the work. It really understand this industry and where it's come from, why it is the way it is, and understand that it's a business as well. That's key. Second thing is be nice. Don't take yourself too seriously. Take the job seriously, not yourself. I think Judi Dench says that. She's very true. And third thing, I would just say, just keep going. Just keep doing it. Listen to your voice. Take advice from people, family, friends, but ultimately follow your own voice, and just keep doing it. Just stay in it. We live in a world where everything is instant, Amazon Prime, all that sort of thing. This job is not like that, and it's not linear. Think about this now, accept it now, and you'll be much better.
Roll with the punches.
Literally, and it's a marathon.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint.
Well,
reach.
Thank you, James.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. We wish you all the best
And when a chef says do 37 eggs, don't do 40.
Count your eggs, everyone.
Yes, count your eggs.
Count your eggs.
And is there anything at the moment that you're doing that you can promote, or things that where can people follow you, and how do we come and see you? I
have an Instagram page, which is at James Hume with a little underscore afterwards. Yes, all the info is on there. I'm doing lots of gigs and things like that. And there might be a show coming up soon.
Yeah, so keep your eye on James's social pages to see what he's going to be in next.
Yes.
But thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
And good luck with future people. I hope they're as good as me.
How do we top this one? I don't know.
Do you remember that misplaced arrogance? Was it that?
Yeah.
That was an example of that.
Such a humble guy. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that episode, everybody.
That's me clapping the episode.
It was a good one. Really, really enjoyed that episode. Remember, follow us on all our social media profiles. At What Was I Made For Pod.
Send us some stuff, guys.
Yeah, like Rach said, send us some stuff. We are desperately in need of some interaction with our audience.
Actually not. We've got loads of questions to answer that they've sent us.
No, I know, but I just like reading them.
Yeah, send us more.
Send us more. We're recording a solo episode.
Just us.
Answering your questions, and that's going to be really fun. So send us any questions you've got, and we will throw them in as well.
Thanks for listening, as always, guys, and we will see you again next week for another guest
on What Was I Made For?
What Was I Made For is a Reynolds Studios production.